Happy Easter! Can you imagine if Easter eggs were quiet luxury? I mean, imagine if all the Easter eggs were wrapped in beige and neutral coloured foils. Would we buy them? No, we wouldn't. Okay, we'll talk about it because you asked so nicely. So welcome to you, my name's Dale and this is Dale's Addiction. Today I am just doing an off-the-cuff video about this quiet luxury situation that we find ourselves talking about at the moment. A lot of people are saying that it's come from, or we've been reminded of it, I guess, as a result of the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. If you're not across that, an ophthalmologist, an eye doctor of sorts anyway, is suing her for running into him on the ski slopes for an incident that happened back in 2016. And a lot has been made of her very quiet looking outfits, you know, this whole concept of, yes, it's luxury, but you wouldn't know. And I guess, you know, it goes without saying that people who watch my channel are kind of like, hey Dale, what do you think about quiet luxury? Haha. Because I think you think that you know what I'm going to say about it based on what's behind me and my Instagram grid, right? So look, I found an Elle article that, you know, Elle, the source of all fashion news, that I thought that I would just reference and, you know, provide my 2 cents worth on the topic so that we have a little bit of structure in this conversation. About the fact that quiet luxury may be more than meets the eye, acting as a reflection of our financial climate and laying the foundation for the return of beloved designer Phoebe Philo. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's set the record straight on what quiet luxury even is. Put simply, quiet luxury is new age minimalism with a larger focus on investment pieces and thoughtful shopping habits. So is this just another reinvention of minimalism and curating a luxury wardrobe and making the case for neutrals and classics? I mean, I don't think it's anything new. I think it's been around for years. To me, I think this whole concept around the financial climate and luxury is just an absurd kind of connection to make. If you're buying luxury, you're buying luxury. You just, you don't want anyone to feel bad about the fact that they're not buying luxury, so you'll buy luxury without logos. To even say that buying unbranded luxury because of the financial climate, I don't know. I think that's ridiculous. If you were saying I'm wearing unbranded luxury because I'm worried that in this financial climate I might make myself a target by people who are suffering and might want to, you know, mug me, then yeah, okay, I can see a connection there. In fact, on that topic, fellow YouTuber Ramina Rosemay just put a video out sharing the story how she just horrifically was attacked. And she unfortunately had been mugged twice. You need to go and watch her video, but in this second instance, she was not wearing a branded bag. And even in the first instance, she said, I don't know if they knew what my bag was or if they just wanted what was inside of it. And unfortunately, she's not going to be able to sit down with her attackers and find that out. But I guess there are still questions about that, and we really don't know the answer to those. So I'll link Ramina's video in the description box below. Go check it out because I think it makes some interesting points about brands and safety of wearing luxury goods and those sorts of things that are complementary to what I'm talking about here. This larger focus on investment pieces and thoughtful shopping habits. So is that suggesting that people who are not buying neutral, unbranded, non-classic items are not thoughtful in their shopping habits? I think it is. I think that's exactly what it's saying. I think that there's, you know, there's a couple of things that we should kind of consider when it comes to non-quiet luxury, loud luxury. is that colour is not the enemy of class. Shabazz on Instagram and TikTok, if you don't follow him, I'll link his account below, but he often makes videos, and he makes videos from the perspective of a person who doesn't do all these things that we do in the luxury community. Like, they're not interested in spending a fortune on a stupid, pigeon bag and those sorts of things, and he constantly refers to himself and people like him as Povo, and he's got this great following, and he gets people to contribute the things that they do that makes them Povo. And guess what? We all do it. Anyway, in his videos, he constantly refers to colour as being Povo.
Your house, let alone a marble coffee table. Why? Because you're poor. Okay, first up, I've got this tray here. Now, this is a beige tray or a grey tray. Can't be too sure, obviously. I'm rich. We don't do colour. That's for Povos.
And beige as being, luxurious, and it makes me laugh every time, and I send his videos to my good friends like Meredith, Living Lux with Meredith, and Amelia from Amelia Rose's Closet, because we love colour, and we are just like, yep, look at us Povos, loving our colourful, luxurious items like the new money whores that we are. Like, it's just, it's funny. This stuff is not serious. We take it so seriously. Now, back to the Elle article. It says, while aesthetically similar to the minimalist movement we witnessed between 2008 and 2016, in terms of championing a neutral colour palette and rejecting logos, it's all about curating a selection of high-quality wearable pieces that seamlessly work with the rest of your wardrobe. If you can't quite picture it, think Claudia Winkleman in a grey roll neck in The Traders, or Gwyneth Paltrow's courtroom green overcoat from The Row. Okay, so that green overcoat from The Row. So I found a Callum oversized double-breasted wool blend overcoat for 6,035 Australian dollars. We go on. Luxury is the same as quality for me, says Major Didota, the creative director of By Malene Berger, a label that has recently reached cult status by repositioning itself as a stealth wealth aesthetic under a new design team. I believe that feeling of luxury comes from some kind of harmony, a harmony in the colour palette, in different textures and shapes. A home or an outfit feels luxurious when it breathes a clear style. And yes, I agree with that, but a clear style has to resemble the actual person wearing the pieces. For me, I think the main challenge with this stealth wealth kind of aesthetic is that it's the same as wearing logos, or it's the same argument as wearing logos. You're trying not to look like something that you are, and it's fashion, create your own aesthetic, create your own personal brand and style. But if you're doing it the same as everybody else, then it's not you, it's not authentic, it's not genuine. And why do people want to look like old money if they go home to their very humble house and eat their humble food and hang out with their humble family and their humble friends? What's in it for you to look like something you're not? If you take joy in colour, if you take joy in being associated with a certain brand because it makes you happy, or it gives you a sense of fulfillment or achievement in your life, that you're in a position where you can enjoy some of these things, isn't that authentic as well? I struggle with this whole, it's more responsible. I think that you see just as many, if not more, classic bags up for resale on resale sites as you do, trend kind of bags. Most people that invest in the trends move the bags on before the trend is over because they're old hands at it. They go, I want to be a part of this, I want to experience it, and I don't want to lose too much of what I've spent. I'll move it on while somebody else is just awakening to that trend. I think that's smart. Then you've got all the people, and I am one of them, who've bought classic bags because everybody tells us you've got to buy a classic bag. It's going to be timeless. It's going to be in your wardrobe forever. And you buy it and you go, but this isn't me. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my lifestyle, for my wardrobe. It's not a smart investment decision. I'm going to sell it. Go onto any website at the moment. In fact, I'll scroll one here. Look for black classic flaps by Chanel. Look for Birkins. All of these pieces that people say that you've got to have in your collection, they're still being sold, right? Are they being sold because some savvy shopper bought them with the intent to flip them and make money? I mean, you're probably regretting that decision now because it's a bit of a buyer's market on the resale market at the moment. But I don't think the argument about one particular style or style aesthetic being more sophisticated or more of a wise investment decision, I don't think it flies. I really don't think it flies, unless, you know, you're joining a cult or something and you want to buy the uniform. There's arguments being made that the pandemic made people realise that they don't go out that often and they don't need to buy as many clothes, and so the clothes that they are buying, they're making wiser choices. I think that's rubbish. Most people I know during the pandemic spent way more because they had more time on their hands to research. They had more disposable income in a lot of circumstances. And yes, I'm talking about people who are in paid employment, who weren't laid off or furloughed because of the pandemic. People who just were starting to work from home. They were not shopping because they weren't going to the office. They were shopping more. They were enjoying the process of researching pieces, getting items in the mail, and the general dopamine hit that comes from shopping. And now they're trying to regulate that because they want to put that disposable income back into the things that they used to put it in, like travel. And I myself, I'm going through that exact same kind of transition where I am kind of going, right, there's other priorities in my life. It doesn't mean that I don't love shopping and researching and looking at things. I do a lot of research before I actually hit the buy button. But it does mean that I am reprioritizing, you know, where I put my funds. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go and change my whole style aesthetic so that I can be quietly luxurious. Like, I was at the Louis Vuitton Brisbane boutique opening event with Meredith and Connor this week, and, you know, to be honest, I was a bit worried that I didn't have any Louis Vuitton ready to wear to that event, and that I would, you know, stand out like a sore thumb. I literally had a handbag, and yeah, what Louis Vuitton is putting out in their ready to wear is obviously an influence on every other design house because they are also, you know, making a lot of denim pieces like Louis Vuitton's current collection. Well, I picked up a denim dress and I just styled it in a way that complemented my side trunk handbag, and there were people there wearing Balenciaga bags and Prada bags and Gucci bags. Like, I don't know what I was worried about. People just went as themselves. People did not dress up as Louis Vuitton models. And I think even in that environment, if people are showing up as authentically themselves, then you can show up as authentically yourself anywhere, particularly when you're celebrating a brand. I would have thought it's a faux pas and disrespectful to not wear anything from the brand to the brand's launch party, but I wasn't about to go and spend $6,000 on ready-to-wear just so I could respect the brand and pay for my champagne, like, and have, you know. Anyway, I've been chatting on Instagram with one of my subscribers, Life and Lux Delights. Thanks very much for the conversations that we've been having, and that's kind of added to this concept of the old money, new money comparison. And when I think of old money, I'm thinking generational wealth, you know, decades and decades of generational wealth. And when I think new money or the nouveau riche, I'm thinking people who have been successful very recently, but I guess there's that sense that they want everyone to know about it as well. And I struggle with the differentiator between generational wealth and new money for a couple of reasons. One, because like many people here on YouTube that I follow, most of us are self-made women. We didn't come from generational wealth, and so I think a lot of people who watch YouTube, and probably the majority of the population, are people who are just making their own way in the world. And if you can't celebrate that without being looked down upon because you're wearing colours and logos, I mean, it's a pretty sad world, isn't it? And a lot of the people who are saying those sorts of things are not classy are not behaving in a classy way themselves by saying that and looking down their snouts at people who are having a crack in the world and who are celebrating their success. Obviously, being ostentatious, being loud, disrespectful, being arrogant, those things, they're not great characteristics of people who have had money for generations or who have just come into money. But I think just being a decent human doesn't matter whether or not the money has been there for a long time, or you're asset rich, or the money is relatively new and you have high liquidity. To me, I just think those arguments are those judgments are just so hideous in our society. Anybody that's having a go and finding success and celebrating that success in a way that makes them happy is a good thing. It's good for society, it's good for them, it's good for their families, it's a good thing. And if you want to minimize it by saying, oh, that's trendy, oh, that's the wrong color, oh, that's loud luxury, oh, that's tacky, then I think there's some real problems that you could probably find the answers to by looking in the mirror. So one thing that I do think, I guess there's one thing that I really, if I was to, how do I say this? If there's one thing about quiet luxury that I do like, is that it's just there. It's not talked about, it's not something that makes you a target, it's not something that defines who you are and what you stand for. And I think if as a society we could all be a little more accepting of each other, then, and we could quietly just acknowledge and appreciate a person's style and choices without making determinations about their wealth and how recent it was and their class and their personal taste and aesthetic, I think we'd be in a much better space. So maybe we all just need to zip it. Maybe we should all be a little bit quieter when we talk about luxury and share our thoughts about luxury. What do you think? I'm interested to know your thoughts on this topic and whether or not you agree or disagree with anything that I've mentioned in this video. It's one of those topics that tends to wind people up a little bit. I appreciate that people wanted me to talk about it. I feel like my opinion was probably a pretty obvious one for me, but maybe it wasn't. I'm going to have fun editing this one because I've been talking around in circles, but I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to see more luxury content in a very loud way, please consider subscribing to my channel, giving this video a thumbs up. I usually put videos out on Wednesdays and Sundays, so please subscribe so I can see you in the next one. Ciao.